Welcome to our next adventure with Chemology 411, a podcast about anything and everything. Kim and her guests will take you behind the scenes, behind the story, or behind the bar. So sit back. Make sure your seatbelt is fastened, tray table in its upright position, all carry-ons stored under the seats. But for this adventure, electronic devices must remain on, as we are ready to take off on our next adventure. Introducing Kim Schultz and Chemology 411.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 46. Tonight, we're going to talk about what makes us laugh. Giggle, giggle, giggle. Besides us, because I listen to our podcast and I freaking crack up at our podcast all the time. At the gym, I kind of look stupid. You know, back in the day, we always said you can't get enough cowbell. Well, right now in 2020, we can't get enough laughs. So we're going to find out what makes Kim and Tyson laugh. I'm Kim Schultz, and I'm your adventure coordinator for this show. Let's say hi to my co-host, Tyson Harley.
Hello, and that's a great reference, Christopher Walken. And I'm going to have a quick aside, and he's one of the people that people love to do impressions of. Oh, yeah. And,
do we get an impression?
So, no, I can't. I'm not much on celebrity possessions.
Possessions?
That goes back to a previous episode when we talked about scary stuff.
I was going to say, I hope you don't have any in your basement.
Yeah, in my basement. What basement? Oh, yeah. I do have a basement. I live in an apartment. I'm like, oh, yeah, this I've got. Yeah. There's a basement down there. It can be useful during storms. Okay, let's go to... I just love it when I add that energy. Chiggers.
Oh, is that...
Chiggers. You know, some people don't... I mean, in different parts of the country, a coworker that started... work about 6 months ago and then kind of like abandoned right before she would have had 2 weeks off, if you know what I'm talking about. Oh. So she kind of made a mistake. Said, you know, she's from Oregon and they don't have chiggers. So chiggers are what you can get from just putting your feet in the grass in Kansas and other places, in case you don't know. Yeah. They're little things you don't even see, and all of a sudden you're itchy on your feet.
Bugs.
So anyway, I got them on my feet, and as far as I know, I've cleaned. You know, I don't have them with me anymore, but I got chigger bites. So thanks. Oh, and I'm like, man, I hope I don't have fleas. And then you explain the difference.
Yeah.
I don't think I got fleas. I think they were just a bunch of little chiggers. Quick hit number 2. Boy, the dynamics just changed. Oh.
Breaking news. This is Harold Crumbacker, live from KKIM News Radio.
Yeah, the dynamics just changed as of yesterday. We're interviewing this. We are recording this on what's today's date? The 12th. And it was yesterday that it went from Sleepy Joe, I mean, come on, to, a dynamic VP candidate. Or at least an excuse to maybe think Joe's not so bad. Or I shouldn't say bad. You know what I mean? He's just like, he seems a little senile. So in my quick opinion, I thought an honest election, Trump might blast him just because of that, because no one's excited. Now they will be excited because of a black female vice presidential candidate. And if Joe goes haywire, guess who steps into office? Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Quick hit number 3. You know, I don't like putting up videos. That's why I like being on radio.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, since this is the only thing that I've been doing, I have not been turning all my various takes into the Scales of Truth episodes lately.
Whose fault is that?
It's my fault.
And it's not funny. So... yeah, the thing is that I've been doing some Facebook videos and been on a little bit of a roll. I've done 4 or 5 and so go look at those. I just put one up here recently, and 2 out of about the last 4 have gotten some pretty good play. So check out my Facebook videos over there on Facebook with the Tyson Harley page, and then also the profile. Quick hit number 4. Okay, just a quick. Oh,
that's our
breaking
current.
news. Breaking news.
So
Why is he nasal?
I have no idea.
Why isn't he like
But you know that there are some guys who think
This does happen with sports casting. I'm not kidding you. You'll find some guy. I've heard him, and it cracks me up every time because I was in. I studied for broadcast, and so I've read books on voice and everything else. And
one thing you don't do is keep the voice in the back of your throat.
what you do is you want to make it vibrate kind of right behind your teeth.
And this is almost likely the nasal sound is because you're closing the back of your throat up.
And some people in their head put that together, like maybe when they're younger, like it sounds more like they're being adulty.
Oh.
And so you'll find even local sportscasters, like they're doing little high school sports.
And they'll, and Smith takes it to the 10-yard line.
And they'll be talking like that. So maybe I'm getting it from that, making
Maybe
fun
you
of
are.
it. So anyway, the news aspect is, do you remember that I had a quick hit probably 6 weeks ago where I just said, interestingly, it looks like kind of tongue-in-cheek, but really to make a point that having COVID in Kansas gave you 2 years of life.
Right.
Now, the reason for that was just that we compared median life expectancy even from just 2000, let alone 1960 when these people were born, or 1950 and before. And it was actually younger than the average COVID death, which at the time was 79 or 80. So very interestingly, I saw on social media that a political... I should say an office holder, asked the Johnson County, this would be the ritzy area of the Kansas City metro, asked the health department person what the average age of the COVID death was and what the average life expectancy is in Johnson County. And the COVID death was a year older, 83 versus 82. And that's actually a big deal because we get some decent number of our pretty tiny amounts of thankfully, mortality in Kansas from those big counties like Johnson County. But the average death age there is 80. So same thing. That same pattern that I told you about
Right.
six weeks ago or longer. And that's the end of Tyson's Quick Hits.
All right. So this last weekend, I think it's been about 8 years, I'm not bragging, that I haven't had a downstairs bathroom in my basement. The upstairs tub thing leaked, so I had to pull out the sheetrock on the little soffit part and fix the plumbing. And then I had all new PEX plumbing put through my
so you
whole
say,
house.
okay, so you had a leak, and they're kind of right up and
Right
below each other. They're even with each other.
My bathrooms are on top of each other.
Right.
So the tub, and this is not the first time this happened. It's called ex-husband doing plumbing. But anyway, so I tore it out, and then I still used the bathroom for a little bit, and then I was like,
how long ago did you say that damage was?
about 8 years ago. But I got it fixed. I just didn't get the sheetrock put in, and so it just became a storage room for the last 6 years. I just threw stuff in there and just shut the door. And then when they put in the new PEX or whatever, I said, you don't need to connect any of this stuff in here because I'm gonna get rid of it all and I'm just gonna redo the whole thing. So after last year when I replaced my floor downstairs, Jeremy, who is my floor guy, he was like, hey, if you go get another thing of this flooring, I can just put it in the bathroom. So he came and I got everything painted a light gray because we're going to do Disney theme. And so once I get it done, because it's going to be freaking awesome, I'll put pictures in the group. But Tom came this weekend and on Sunday and came in to put the toilet in, and then he had to, get all the gunk ring stuff off of it. And of course the toilet was already out of there. And I had a brand new toilet in the box. So we put the toilet down and so far so good. And then I was like, well, we have to get the cable things to actually run the water. I don't know what they're called, lines, I guess. And so we go over to Westlake and we picked out what we needed. We got home, they didn't work. And so we went back to Home Depot because we thought, well, maybe these are special ones. Because Tom's like,
so you've
I know
gone
how
to one
do
hardware
it.
store.
Yeah, and Tom didn't realize there were two of them. There's regular and compression. I'm going to teach you a little plumbing right here. Anyway, so we go into Home Depot. You have to wear a mask, and in places here, whatever. Tom wears a mask at work all the time anyway because he's in manufacturing. So he puts on his mask. Doesn't, him and I are like, ugh, so stupid. But we go back to the plumbing thing and we can't figure out like what the difference is. I mean, you have to know that there's regular and compression. We didn't know that. So finally there's an older gentleman that worked there, was down in the inn, and I said, Tom, just go ask him. So we bring him over, and he keeps asking Tom, is it regular or compression? And Tom's like, it's just a regular one. He doesn't know, and he goes, well, it's a PEX line. And he was like, oh, well, the PEX stuff is over here. So they go over there, and he keeps asking it, and he's getting really frustrated. And you could tell that the guy is just like, oh my gosh, how stupid are you? But really not that. It's that mask. You could just tell he was, because he couldn't talk the right way. And Tom I'm like, I can't hear you. And I'm thinking, just take off the mask. You're like, it was horrible. Well, finally, I called my plumber, and I was like, what's the size of the adapter that you used when you plumbed the house? And he's like, upside 3/8, downside a half. And I go, it's upside 3/8, downside a half. And they're both have talked in circles for 7 minutes. And they were like this, I've never heard of anything like that before. And I look down and I see the adapter and I pull it out and I show it to him. I go, top side 3/8, bottom side a half. And he's like, oh, you're going to need a compression one. And Tom goes, I didn't know there was a difference. So we went over, we got the compression ones, came home, bloop, 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 hooked it up. The sink leaks a little bit. It's got the old fitting on it. I said, just get it hooked up. I can either re-plumb
So you had the sink here, you just hadn't done the line for it yet?
Well, I bought a sink. I painted the whole vanity and got a new sink, but the old plumbing was still from the old sink. So anyway, it drips a little bit of water, but I went today and I returned all the other stuff, and I got 2 of the little plastic rings that you can put in there. And if it doesn't work, then I'll go pay the $5 and buy a whole new little plumbing set that I can put that on by myself. It was more the toilet that I didn't want to do. So anyway, I got the bathroom done.
Nice.
I started some.
I might still go upstairs. I'm what you call I'm bathroom shy.
All right.
You
can always use the upstairs bathroom.
I'm a little potty humor. I'm not one of those people who think it's funny to pass gas.
Oh, I don't either.
I'm not. So if I ever thought, oh boy, this could be bad, I'll just be going upstairs.
You can always go upstairs. You can always use the upstairs bathroom. Anyway, so I started this week. Actually, I uploaded 3 podcasts. So I uploaded our normal one for Tuesday, which immediately had hits, which I thought was awesome. And then
cool.
I uploaded a Tuesday at 2. I got that one uploaded. Then I did it on Tuesday, and I uploaded it on Tuesday. And then I believe I uploaded something else. There was another one that I uploaded. Anyway,
the Tuesday one a Superstar one?
No, Tuesday at 2 is the interviews that I have with business owners talking to my restaurants. And so I do those on Zoom, and so they're actually a podcast. And then if you go into Chemology 411, you can watch the video. So There's a few on there. We're cruising along almost to our 100 episodes. That's kind of what I want by the end of the year. I want 100 episodes of things. So we have that. I did. So I have superpowers. I have freaking superpowers. Okay, in my backyard, it's a hill, so it goes up. And to the north side of my house, the north part, which is flat, there's like fence the whole way. There's no house involved. It's direct sun. There's no trees, and it's basically just weeds. It's dirt and weeds, and it has been dirt and weeds for years, since my uncle quit working on my yard and making everything look lush. I could care less about my yard. So anyway, I have said the last 3 times, I was like, remember I said, once I get the house done on the outside, I'm gonna have to start doing some yard work and some more landscaping and make things look a little bit better. And I thought, oh man, I should just go buy some seed and put it in my yard and just fertilize it. I'll just do it. And for the last 3 times I've thought that. I go out to mow this last weekend and I noticed something different. It's a little weird. So I mow my yard. I always mow the hill first. And I come down to the weed area and it kills my lawnmower. And it is luscious grass. There's like a little baby spot of where nothing's at, but the rest of it is flipping grass.
I thought you didn't get the seed yet.
I did not get the seed yet. Okay, so I could say I had superpowers, or remember the house next to me has been renovated.
Right.
Well, they planted seed in the backyard and all that stuff. I'm thinking on the flood day, I think all the seed came over to Kim's yard.
Nice.
Because within 2 weeks, that stuff was like, it was tall. And I was like, what the heck is this? I did not complain. I said, thank you.
If they had a bare spot instead.
No, they do. No, they have it's just weeds in their backyard. There's nothing in that backyard. And that's kind of where I think they came from. But it's much cooler to think I have superpowers. So we're just going to say that I manifested grass in my backyard. But I'm pretty sure that I should tell my neighbor, thank you for the seed. Because it's nice. I mean, it looks really nice. I need to go take a picture of it.
That's some good luck right there.
So anyway, all right. So we were coming up with topics for this week, and you know it comes because this is my 40. Okay, this is episode 46. Let me take out all the episodes you've came up with. I'm gonna give you credit for 2.
2, really?
I know. You're welcome.
Maybe twice as many as I really deserve.
I'm sure something we've done in the past, you had a little bit of say-so in it. So 44 topics that I'm trying to be totally different on, coming up. And I thought, I was sitting there and I have been in the morning when I get up, I have to do 30 minutes of self-education. And then I try to watch something funny. And I really am addicted to my YouTube now. So I'm addicted to Netflix and YouTube. There's gonna have to be a group or a meeting that I'm gonna have to go to. But I found some really cute comedians, and especially with everything going on right now, they've got all this time in their house, so they're producing these things, and I find those funny because it reminds me of something. If I were them at that age with this technology, I'd have been doing the same thing because our family, I mean, we're pretty freaking funny.
So what was my immediate reaction to you having a several at hand that you could think of? What did I immediately say?
I really don't think I have any that I laugh at. I really don't laugh a lot. I like my numbers, and I like to do my analogies. I mean, when someone shows me something, I'll think it's funny. But if you made me watch it by myself, I won't do it.
Well,
was that you?
That was me. Nice accent. But then also it was that I'm like, I just don't watch them.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't watch. So I had to kind of really think through, and then it didn't end up being like the little YouTube channels.
Yeah.
It's like maybe if somebody shows them to me, yeah. All right, yep, that's what I wanted you to remember, and you remember it well. Nice impression. Speaking of things that are funny. Do the Tyson impression. All right.
So the one that's on Facebook that I started watching was Dude Dad, and mind you, these are not the ones I'm laughing at. Are not like HBO comedian people that you would go to Netflix and watch the comedy shows. I think those are awesome, and those are great. But I like the ones who are just taking it out on their own and doing, like the what do you call it? The grassroots kind of just funny and like doing this podcast stuff. I love getting to joke around and have fun with it. And so when I watch Dude Dad, the Dude Dad, him and his wife are just hilarious. I always want to think of doodah whenever I hear that. Yeah,
doodah.
But that's because his little kid goes, Dude Dad, Dude Dad. So anyway, he imitates his wife a lot. His wife will imitate him. Then he'll do his own comedy.
I like this when you introduced it to me. I liked it because I said, I don't know, it's like Southern Mama, which I don't think is funny at all. It's mildly silly, but nothing that I don't think my 5 least talented friends couldn't do. But Dude Dad was like that. but better.
But better. He was, and he was on.
And I like that he brought in his wife, who plays the male in the relationship instead, and so they're both kind of, I don't want to say cross-dressing. He just throws on. Well, a wig,
yeah,
he just plays a female, and she imitates the male.
Right,
so it's pretty good.
And they're pretty funny. So you check them out all the time. The one that I happened upon was Trey Kennedy. He just started popping up on
my husband during home. So these are a couple that you just were going to point out that you liked.
From
Dude Dad. My husband
husband
during home renovations.
Yeah, and my wife be like, she's always making fun of his wife because she loves Target, and then he'll be like, "Hey, do you wanna?" And then she'll be like, "No, I have a headache. So then when she plays him, she's always like, "Do you wanna? Okay, fine, you got a headache, I got it." So they play off of each other very well, which I think makes a good team. You're willing to kind of make fun of each other, and I love that part. And they're not cruel or mean by any means. And then Trey Kennedy, he just popped up one day, and I just love him. He is hilarious. He is a very gifted, he's a stand-up comedian.
So he's got a level of wit that as kind of an, I've acted, I kind of am a vanity writer. I like words a lot, and I appreciate, putting them together. So I listen to Pandora comedy all the time. We've mentioned this, and I shouldn't say all the time. I'll get into cycles where I know the bits so much because they don't have just a humongous catalog that I some of these I've heard hundreds of times. They just put 2 to 7 minute bits on there, so I can still work and be productive. It just makes me, puts me in a good mood. I just get to laugh a little bit while I'm working, and so that level of comedy I appreciate. To your point, this is like the touring level people.
Right.
That over a period of time, you can hear the older bits versus the newer bits and how they've even adjusted. They thought of a better way to say the same thing. They've worked it out. And so Trey Kennedy is on that level. I can tell that Trey Kennedy is gifted with a natural, quick wit. And it's improvisational.
Yeah, he
is. These touring comedians, they could do improvisation. But really, what they're really good at, and it's why a lot of them make good actors, is that they have it down to the word most of the time,
right.
And they can still have a natural delivery, which is a huge part of acting, is to sound like you're not saying that you're not reading from your head,
right?
And so they often have it word for word. Trey Kennedy, but a lot of them could do improvisational videos.
Right.
Trey Kennedy has not thought about. It seems to me. He hasn't thought about what exactly he's going to say, and he's got an off-the-cuff, very quick wit. So I do appreciate him, and I think he's good. Let's name some of the things that he's
he has.
done.
So he's got one that's hilarious. It's Millennials versus Boomers in 2020, or he's got the First World Problems of 2020, and Moms pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. So you've got the mom that's like, "Oh, honey, you know what? Come on, smile. Let mama see those teeth." And then it says post-pandemic, "Get your mask on and get in the car so we're not late." Get your face covered up.
We just saw one. You showed me one that was pretty good. They're probably about 5 to 10 minutes long, maybe.
Yeah.
And it was, his friend's been in a coma since January 2020. And he's got to kind of reorient him, although he kind of buries the lead of exactly why. So why things are so different. So
right. He's like, you mean I've been laying in this bed for like 6 months inside? He's like, yeah, that's really not a big thing.
Kind of like all of us.
And then he did go to IKEA, and he was making fun because if you've ever noticed, if you go to IKEA,
I've been there once.
Everything is named. So if you go to a towel, and he'll take the towel and it's got a name on it, and then he'll take that name and he puts it into a sentence. It's really cute. He did a good job on that one. And then he has Phases of 2020. That's a really good one. All the people that I've sent that one to is funny because he's like, "Hey guys, guess what? There's some virus going on. Like, yeah, they're closing down for 14 days. Man, that's gonna be crazy." And then by the end of it, they're eating Fritos. It's been 60-some days. He's yelling. He's yelling at his people. "I hate your face. change your face.
Yeah, like he's got roommates. You know, and then he goes to get. Yeah, it's pretty good. He's pretty gifted.
And he does men versus women. He does adolescent. I mean, he's very funny. I really enjoy Trey. I'd like to meet him sometime. So one day he'll be on the show.
He just looks like he's late 20s, early 30s, maybe 35 at oldest, maybe as young as 25. He's good.
And so then the one that your sister loved, but then you were like, whatever. And then so I'm like, oh no, we're watching J.P. Sears.
He's grown on me a little bit.
And
J.P. Sears is he's pretty, I had a great word, ubiquitous.
Ooh, with a big wood. It's a big wood.
Just remember, it kind of sounds like... Oh, that's good. I want to hear you say that again.
I don't know what I said. I guess I have to go back.
He's all over the place now.
Yeah.
So he started, and he puts out a lot of videos.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a very dry, sarcastic delivery. But he's a guy who's very much a redhead, wears his hair long, tends to have a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow, and he wears his tight shirts. He works out a lot. You can tell he works out
he's
quite
a trainer.
lot. And so he's got that sarcastic, dry delivery.
Yeah.
But he puts out a lot of videos.
I mean,
and some of them, about being kind of the hippie and being meditative, and then he'll get very sarcastic all the way up to current events.
He had how to be keto and a narcissist. That's funny.
Oh, what was the one we watched? Oh, my Lord! Where it's like,
which one are you talking
Burning
about?
Man at home.
Oh, yeah.
How to do Burning Man at home. And then there was one where...
If you don't have thousands of dollars to go live like you're homeless.
Yeah. And there was another one where he said, oh, goodness. Oh, it's so good. How to get a lot of followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
It was very good because all of a sudden they're like, JP kind of seems like he's a little bit in a way conservative, but he doesn't really totally let it on. And then all of a sudden he's showing his butt in all these videos.
He's in his
He's in a G-string.
He's probably in his wife's little bikini.
Talking about how Instagram, just cleaning up my new closet and pointing your butt towards the.
Yeah.
Did you see my new closet? No, I saw a butt.
Exactly.
I remember a butt.
While standing half naked, wanting people to see you naked, holds like something like a decoy, so that people will be like, "No, I'm just looking at the dog," when they're really just looking at your half naked body.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's very sarcastic, and if you haven't
be an atheist.
If you haven't watched any of these shows,
how to destroy your relationship, and he brings in his wife sometimes.
Yeah, and how to become gluten intolerant.
And awaken with JP.
That's his.
Is that his channel?
That's his channel. Okay. Awaken with JP. Yeah, he has.
So he's grown on me a little bit.
I just love his sarcasm.
Southern Mama, no. I can't stand Southern Mama. But you have a different one that's not Southern Mama.
Right.
You have.
So when you said that, I had to look it up, and you have to search YouTube for Southern Woman and Pyramid Schemes.
Women. Southern women.
Yeah, Southern women and pyramid schemes. Anyway, this guy has this long black wig on, and she is selling all these MLMs. She's got jewelry, she's got plants, which are, everybody knows what an MLM is, multi-level marketing.
We have listeners in other places where acronyms
well, then that's when they go like this, what's an MLM? And they have to talk to us. So...
multi-level marketing, so a la Amway, so on.
Yeah, like I was going to say, jewelry, makeup, plants, you name it. And she's making fun of like how they act, and it's hilarious because it's this guy and his hair, and he's got like this curtain thing that's on like a curtain. That's the decoration for jewelry. So it was really cool.
So he does that, and it made me think what I tell you when you were talking about that. I said, you know what I find funny? And you can even get it on over-the-air TV now. You don't even need cable. the shopping networks.
Oh, yeah.
Because it reminds me of the shopping networks and how they oversell it. And there's always some dude there who's like, I'll tell you what, this is one of the best. Ain't this the prettiest necklace? And and the girls are always a little bit overdone as far as the stuff they're wearing and this and that, and the little hand. I remember that. It's going to sound like on the air. There's jewelry TV, so sometimes I go past it and just kind of like bask in its awkwardness and silliness for a second. And what they'll do is they'll put their ring on their ring finger, and then they'll take their other hand and with two hands just make that little ring rotate.
Just shine.
So you can see the little shinies on it,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I find jewelry TV and those types of things funny.
Right.
I know other people just kind of keep it on its background. And it's always an interesting dynamic for me that it's almost like it's a morning show or talk radio aspect for some of their viewers. Like they want to call in and talk to, Betty or whoever it is who seems so nice and is always giving her a great deal.
Well, we only got 25,000 of these left. You're going to want to buy now. This is a lot better than what you would think it would be.
Right. It says, remember that before the internet, it was QVC, and now it's Amazon. So you come home drunk, and you're watching television, and you're like, I got to get that. And then packages show up at your house, and it's like, it's only 3 payments of $89.99, and that includes $47 in shipping. So anyway,
So you like Southern women and
I did like Southern
schemes.
women. My type of comedy is I like sarcasm. I like that both parties are kind of participating in it a little bit. Even if you jab at someone because my brothers and I, we nonstop fight. And when we're working together, oh my gosh, they'll dog me on Facebook. I dog them right back, and people are like, "Wow, you guys are mean to each other." I'm like, "No, we're not. That's really just a joke. Like, I know what's wrong with me, and I accept those facts." And so if my brother wants to talk about how I talk a lot or something like that, it's a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a joke. And the funny thing is, really fast, is when we did the Schultz show, it was a comedy show where we sang and we did illusions, and some of the jokes in there.
We've talked, by the way, quick flashback, don't forget your thought, but a really cool thing on our haunted episode regarding the illusion that Frank did. So you'll have to go listen to that one because that was something really odd happened, if you remember.
Oh, really? Okay. So
no, it's our podcast.
Right.
I was telling you. It's
yes, ours, but Chris.
Reminded. Oh,
Chris,
it was Chris. It was Chris, not Frank. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So
Your
anyway,
illusions.
we had so we had start out, and I had on my white tuck shirt and my black pants because I had to wait on the tables. And then the show would start, and of course I went up on stage in my white shirt and my black pants. I started singing "Get This Party Started," the remix part, and then my stepson, we had a hoop, and so I'm standing in the middle of the circle, and the hoop comes up, and when he drops the hoop, I've got on this little outfit, so I've I've pulled the other clothes off, singing my song and all that stuff. Well, then for intermission, I have to go back in, put my clothes back on, the white shirt with the black pants, the real ones, and go serve dessert because I'm doing it all. Because that was just part of the show. And I got to a couple tables, a couple different nights, and they were like, I'm like, how do you guys like the show? And they're like, your brothers are not nice to you. And the whole time we're making fun of Chris too, but nobody cares. And I was like, what do you mean? And there's like, well, some of the jokes are kind of mean. And I go, which jokes? And so they would tell me what jokes, and I'm like, oh, I wrote those jokes. And they were like, what? And I'm like, this is a show. Like, it's not real. But because we're a family and we're talking about family things, it was real. It was real, but I wrote the joke. I can make fun of myself. So anyway, I like the sarcasm. The one thing that I can't handle on comedy is their voice. If you've got a voice that irritates me, you're not going to be funny.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
There's like a voice and you're like this. Does anybody have fingernails to scratch on a chalkboard? Because I'd really just rather listen to that. And so voices get me. I like comedy, but I don't like anybody being hurt, and I don't like somebody being scared, and I don't find it funny to, I guess pranks are not my. I don't find those funny.
There's
those are problems
Impractical
for me.
Jokers and others. People have tried to point me to those, and I don't tend to want to watch them. Now I know that in the end, people are like, oh, got you good, and then, but to me, it's kind of they're being a good sport, and you kind of put them through.
Right.
Listen, I'm not trying to be holier than thou. Some of those are kind of funny, but I don't tend towards wanting to watch those if they put the person in too awkward of a situation at the time, because I feel like then it's just kind of we're just joking around. It's like, okay, can you sign so we can be? It's like, oh, you sure got me, and I mean, I guess that is relief, but I don't tend to like those either. I mean, some of them are a lot lighter. It kind of depends, like how awkward are you being and how bad or angry are you making them feel. There's a continuum there, but I tend to have the same, like, I don't want to see cringeworthy stuff. I also don't like things that are funny just because somebody did something really humiliating happened, because I always think that you got to be careful about sharing that, because that could really bother them over a period of time if it gets crowd shared.
Right. It might be, quote, funny at the time to them, but it really wasn't funny. They just laughed because they were really embarrassed. I mean, I was mean to my brothers, don't get me wrong. And I did things that I thought were really freaking hilarious. They did not find it to be so much fun.
But, I mean, you couldn't share it to millions of people.
But, I wouldn't have videotaped it and showed anybody. First of all, I'd have been grounded.
Example. We know that some people make poor wardrobe choices in Walmart that maybe does not match their body type well. It's really not nice to share that.
No.
It's really not nice. I mean, if you see it, it's okay to giggle by yourself.
Right.
But you just got to think, if that person who's just a private citizen sees that that's been shared millions of times and everybody's laughing, I don't like that. And it's just so easy not to... not to find humor somewhere else and to just not share that. To me, it's it's kind of like, well, you don't need to share that even if you saw it, and you don't need to share things that you don't know are true yet,
right?
So same kind of thing for me.
And I don't even like it in movies when it's just fake. Even though I know they like sketched it out and stuff like that, I guess the empath part of me automatically just goes in like, wow, that would have just been embarrassing, and I just don't know, like, that's just horrible.
Oh, you mean like the mean stuff? Yeah.
Well, just like even when it's like they're doing the pranks, but it's in a movie, I'm like, I don't want to watch that, and I don't enjoy like when they're. Yeah, I just don't enjoy any video, and especially when someone's being hurt and people are laughing. Now, if you fall down, I'm gonna laugh. As long as you're not hurt,
right?
Like I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna be like, "Are you okay?" And then kind of snicker, and then I'm gonna be like, "I think you broke my leg," and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
So here's, I've always said the way to know whether or not you're keeping yourself in decent shape is if you think the initial response to you falling on your butt is going to be people laughing like crazy or being very concerned.
Yeah. Well, and so at my dad's funeral, the boys and I were standing up at the front. We laugh. Our family laughs. We're not criers. We laugh. And so the three of us, don't put us together. I don't even know why Mom did that, but there's a casket, and then we're in the church. And we were just laughing the entire time. Like, we'd see people and we would have some joke to say. I don't even remember what we were laughing about, but that's how we deal with anything. We laugh. And people will be like, "That's not funny." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry that I'm laughing, but I only know how to laugh." So sometimes I can offend people because I'm laughing, but honestly, that's my automatic reaction is to laugh. And so, sorry. There's a lot of different movies out there that I have watched multiple times that cracked me up. One of my favorites was from the SNL skit was Superstar. That was flippin' hilarious.
I heard it was pretty good. Now that has like the awkward. It's a female
Mary Catherine Gallagher.
Female actor from Saturday Night
Molly
Live.
Shannon.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yep. So she's oh my gosh, it's just lighthearted, fun, and like they make fun of her, but it's not that it's like they're being cruel, but she, it's her personality. She sticks up for herself. She's really good at that. Night at the Roxbury came out about the same time. Oh my gosh, I've watched that probably.
All I know is the head
200
bobbing
times.
scene.
200 times.
All I
Love
know
it.
is that they head bob to the same that's one song.
Bridesmaids.
So, yeah.
Bridesmaids. Was
Bridesmaids. You
hilarious.
and I are in 100% agreement on
Love
that.
Now, on Bridesmaids, did you choose that one, or did your sister take it?
Oh, I totally wanted to go to that
You
one.
really?
Yeah.
What made you want to go see Bridesmaid?
I think that, first of all, the cast was really good, and at the time I liked I knew about Mike and Molly Gal. And I'd seen, I think that was a Judd Apatow. So he does the same type of ensembles.
That's his wife. Yeah.
And I've seen the blonde who's in a few of those. I knew that she was funny.
It's like Sherry O'Terry or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah,
but
I don't remember.
Regardless,
Sorry.
that cast was very good. And because it got great review. I tend not to go to movies unless I know they've got really good reviews.
It was like, it's like an SNL. A lot of them were SNL.
But I tell you what, it was great, and I can tell you that I like that. What he tends to do is say, you know what, this is the general idea. You guys are hilarious. Come up with lines. How would
Right.
you react right here?
How would
and
you
you
do
see
it?
it in the extras, and you can see that they, or even in the credits, they'll show them doing the 3 or 4 other things that didn't quite make the movie, but were still really, really funny. Bridesmaids, all about it. I
Right.
love that movie. It was awesome.
And I can't walk by Jordan Almonds at Dillon's without telling my daughter, "Are you hungry? You're hungry. Would you like an almond?"
I need to watch
that
it again.
And my daughter always goes like this. Yes, I would love to. And she takes her little hand up like to her mouth and takes her look on her face is like she's about to puke every time we walk by that aisle.
Oh my gosh! I think I even bought
almonds.
that. I don't have a movie. I've got an okay movie collection, but certainly not the hundreds and thousands like some people have in the DVD days before
Right.
Netflix and everything was so available electronically. But I don't tend to buy comedies, and that one is in my collection.
Pitch Perfect. All 3 of them are fantastically hilarious. They are nothing like you would know if you've never seen it. You'd be like, I don't want to see it. But
Which
I
is
love
exactly
the music.
what I said, but I also said when it's been on, because a lot of these things I see because my sister and I are visiting my mom and they're putting on something to watch. And when I see bits and pieces of it, it was really good. It's not what I expected, and it was really funny. So I wouldn't have seen it in a million years, but I believe that it was good. And then when I saw bits and pieces of it, it was.
It's phenomenal. I just love the music part of it, and then of course Bad Moms. Bad Moms is just hilarious, and we took our moms.
Do not recognize that.
We took our moms to go see Bad Moms Christmas, and it's got my hunky guy from This Is Us in it. The cute of the siblings. Of the triplets.
Okay.
The cute one. And he's just like a stripper guy or whatever. And his legs, he's just in his little thing. And here we are sitting in the movie with our moms. We're like, oh, this is real great. But that's a really good one too. So.
All right, some of mine agree with a lot of those, although some I haven't seen. Also made me think, do you like Elf?
Yeah.
So I don't tend to go see comedies. And I don't tend to see, is it Will Ferrell?
I love Will Ferrell.
But when I see his bits and stuff, like for instance, we said, what's the skating movie?
Blades of Glory.
Hilarious. Blades of Glory was awesome, which kind of goes back to the idea that I like silly awkward.
Yeah.
And well, just awkward. Napoleon Dynamite. I love Napoleon Dynamite. I watched it years later.
Yeah.
I didn't see it early, and watched it, and then anyway, I really, really, really like that. I like Seinfeld. You don't like Seinfeld.
Yeah, I'm not a big Seinfeld.
It's an acquired taste because some of those you're talking about. One of these ones that I wasn't into. I think you said it was Dude Dad. That maybe it was Southern Women, but it also had an episodic, kind of an episode feel where part of the humor can be, the kind of inside joke from the previous stuff.
Right.
So Seinfeld's a little bit like that. Like once Kramer, he's just showing up because of his history and the little bits he does. he does the bits again. It's almost like, it wasn't it weird to you in like the 70s and 80s TV shows when someone would come in and it would be a live audience and they'd clap because the person even entered.
Yeah.
It's just they built up that comedy equity, if you will. So Seinfeld, I like. I'm not saying that it was outright funny. I did really like it at some point the fact that the characters were so well drawn and different. So what I find funny, I do find the viral man on the street funny reaction videos where I feel like it's not making fun of them. It's genuinely them, and I could be wrong. Classic being, ain't nobody got time for that. I mean, she said something about having, what did she say she has? Like some emphysema or something. Ain't nobody got time for that. And it's just a man on the street news thing,
Right.
So they're like, so what were you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Well, I saw this and blah, blah, blah. Ain't nobody got time for that. I got emphysema. I can't remember. Those types of things I find pretty funny sometimes. And then we just looked. I couldn't think of sometimes, like I said, I don't go watch these. I find it interesting and I crack myself up. I mean, I'm silly all the time to myself. So,
which is a whole different set of comedy.
Yeah. So, I don't necessarily search for it, but then people will introduce me to some of it. Mm-hmm. And this one was one that I was introduced to when some family visited here a month or so ago. And I told you it was a guy who's British, and it's more the Vine stuff. Some of the Vine stuff is neat because it was, like 15 seconds, was as short as 15 seconds at the time. I don't even think they do it anymore, but they'd put it into just a bunch right in a row in the YouTube videos. So you'd essentially get,
you start
many
watching
bits.
one and then just kind of moves on.
Yeah, you get many bits in a matter of a few minutes. So anyway, this one guy's name is, what did we say it was? Aaron.
Aaron, yeah.
Kraskall, ARRON, CRASCALL. And it is like reactions in public where the person's being silly. And it's just like, it's almost like, yeah, he's being silly, but it's also that he's just catching the reactions of those around him. Think of the people, like, I can't handle it. My sister does this where it's like people are just, they got the little fart thing. The whoopee cushion. Yeah. And they do it really close to somebody in the aisle at a grocery store. And like, I don't really want to watch that very much, but this guy doesn't do that. He just says kind of odd things, or he's acting like he's just singing, like no one's watching when everybody's watching, and he's singing awfully. So I like that one. Let's see. If anything's too embarrassing, same idea. I'm not into it. And also, one thing I notice is that when you do these things, who was the guy that I saw do this? Just a phenomenon, not so much that it's funny. Magicians do this, like who are the two big ones right now? David Blaine.
Oh,
David Blaine, and the guy who's, he looks like a rock star, and he's in Vegas. He wants to look like a rock star anyway.
Chris Angel.
Chris Angel, yeah. So what they'll do is if they do their man on the street comedy, the nerd at home can think, boy, if I learned magic, look at the gleam that showed in that pretty woman's eyes. It's like, no, just because she was kind of thought it was cool, not because she wants to go with you necessarily, dude. But nonetheless, they'll pick hot women for their bits, so you're kind of interested. Well, that's better to watch. So I just noticed that as a phenomenon for some of these people. There's some that started in Japan, and then the U.S. did it, and it's being quiet in the library. Have you seen those?
No.
I wouldn't have watched them, but it's kind of funny. Like, you got to do silly stuff. And because you do silly stuff, it's kind of the rest of the people.
So it's like a game show kind of a thing where they send you in with an earpiece and they tell you what to do, or
it might just be that it's on a card,
right?
So you got to be quiet.
Right.
And the fact that it's in the library, and I don't know what all things. I can't even think of it off the top of my head. But the fact that someone is like, trying to, I don't know. All of a sudden, maybe they'll, how those Japanese
videos. They could go stack books to a house or on the table.
Something like, okay, you're going to get smacked like by a big old kind of rubber paddle or something. And you got to hold it and and then everybody else cracks up. So being quiet in the library is kind of funny. And let's see, I told you Home Shopping Networks. And my tendency is there's no time to laugh.
I know.
Like you showed me one,
he
and I'm
sleeps
like
2 hours a day, and he can't even put in
so
5
you're like
minutes of
check this one
laughter.
out. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I guess it's probably funny.
It makes you
30
in a
seconds
better
in.
mood.
30 seconds in, I just didn't want to watch the rest, right? It's like, 'cause I'm like, especially in 2020, I'm like, there's more serious things.
Oh, I know. You can't laugh. I got numbers. I can't compute. That's not compute. That's not compute.
Crude comedy with a heart. I mean, like, really crude stuff. You're like 40-year-old version.
Oh, yeah.
Virgin, Bridesmaid, Knocked Up, Super Bad.
Super Bad. Yeah, I wrote that down, too. Super Bad is
I mean, the stuff where
hilarious.
some of the scenes are just, like, really raunchy. Something
Yeah.
about
Ron.
Mary.
Yeah.
And I don't think Something About Mary was Judd Apatow, but it reminds you of that
Right.
type of stuff where it's raunchy or they're really like giving each other a hard time, like best buddies. Or
Literally
just
a hard time.
Well, I didn't exactly mean that. I like I said, Pandora comedy and any stand-up. I mean, if there's a Netflix
Right.
stand-up, I'll watch it and I'll love it. Another thing that I like is a parody special episodes of serious shows. So these shows have these shows have been on so long, and so you're well versed in them. They're like, you know what? We've had 170 episodes here and there. We just gotta mix it up,
Right.
and so it'll be like Supernatural does like
Supernatural's awesome.
So one of them, God, what show is it? It did kind of a Cops episode. For instance, I can't even think about one where they just have fun and they make it kind of like Cops. It might have been Supernatural.
Yes,
Or
Supernatural.
no, they made fun of one of the ghost hunting shows.
Oh, yeah.
Supernatural made fun of a ghost hunting show, and it was very funny
They make
because they're
fun
kind
of a lot of things.
So all of a sudden, the serious, some of these are pretty serious shows, like X-Files
Right.
did one that was basically around Cher's a Mask movie.
Right.
And other ones where they like meet a Fox and Mulder type of a partnership. You know, it's like them kind of. I believe Supernatural has done that too, where they meet these guys that are kind of like them, like they're not a hard word. What do you call it when you meet your? It's like a German word.
You're not your twin. You're doppelganger.
Yeah, doppelganger. So I like those special episodes. Also, if you want me to laugh like a hyena, ridiculousness every time.
That is funny. I like that show.
And again, to me, so much of it is, it's like, are you writing a good, funny greeting card?
Yeah.
And if I read a greeting card that said, "Man, you left something on the table," you know, I will notice that. I mean, you had more of a chance there. Same thing with these leading. Introducing or pointing out things about the funny videos.
Right.
And I said Bob Saget, not a fan.
No.
America's Funniest Home Videos. Tom Bergeron, I could crack up all day. I thought the writing was much better around the videos, and his delivery was just more spot on. And the same thing, I think, what did we say that guy's name is, who is on Ridiculousness? Rob Drydeck.
Rob, yeah.
I'm like, man, he's actually a pretty talented, or his crew is. His crew is for introducing those videos.
Yep.
And the other thing that's funny about that is that you got the dumb blonde playing it perfectly. And it's got Chanel West Coast. And I told you one time it was that it was a joke where an older sister is trying to prank her younger brother, and she's already taken a video of like the table where he's sitting.
Right.
And she says to him, whatever, either that you're not showing up on video, or I don't know how she leads it, but she goes, then she's acting like she's recording him at the time he's sitting at the table, and then she shows him the video, and the little brother's like freaked because he didn't show up on the video, and Chanel West Coast is like, what? How's he not showing up? it's like, oh my god, you're so stupid.
Man, if I could get paid big bucks to act like that would
just
be
to get
awesome.
to laugh.
Yeah,
because that's part of it too. Is that it's a comedy thing, and it's the reaction video, kind of like what we were talking about. How some people just say silly things, hopefully not too hurtful. They do something like just dance, in the middle of like no one's watching when everybody's watching, and it's the reaction that's funny too.
Right.
And so it's got that built in because they bring in those. I don't know basically anybody who they bring in. But it's just kind of so chummy because It would just like bring some rap star in, or at least who's coming up, and they're sitting there and they just laugh at videos. And you can see, I think the the other thing about comedy is that the veil drops down when someone's just cracking up.
Right.
They're not, when they're really just laughing, they're not thinking about much else.
Right.
So you're seeing just that plain old non-calculated joy on their face.
And that's what I try to get with you, but no.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Have you remember Candid Camera?
I remember it.
So I didn't mind Candid Camera because that's when they had the earpiece and they would be like, go over and sit next to the lady on the park bench. And then so they would go over and they'd sit at the, whatever, and they'd tell them what to do. Or they'd be like talking from the trash can. They'd be like, hey, can you open the lid? And the people like this. And they're just
like they don't know where the voice is coming from.
Yeah, they don't know where it's coming from, and they're just like, here, down the trash can. And they're like, and it's basically just kind of watching these people react to like nothing, and then be like, what? So I don't mind that. I don't mind the ones where.
Remember when we were? Go ahead. I'll remember my thought.
I don't mind the ones where like they say go over there and do this and do that. I think most of them are set up, but like they're basically having to embarrass themselves. As long as they don't be mean to that person. But if they go over and they say, all right, go put your hand on their leg, see what they do. Wouldn't happen nowadays because you'd probably get shot or punched. But, they would do weird little things like that and making the people. There's multiple shows out there. I can handle a little bit of it, but it's not something that I would watch. Go ahead. I have one more.
Impractical Jokers is actually like that. They're in the earpiece.
Right. Yes,
so
I've done
it's
that.
just a matter of how awkward it is, and it's kind of just maybe it's just what you're feeling at the day is, or man, I don't want to see him have to say that to that.
That's the one where they win money, right?
No, it's just like the four dude. Well, I don't know.
There's one that you can win money.
Impractical Jokers, they're the same cast, so it's not like I get to be on it and have to do it. It's just that now it's poor Rich's turn to have to go listen to his buddies. Who some of it is like, and it's kind of over the top because they're like cracking up too much over what Rich is doing.
So there's like a game
it's
show.
Like the morning show element where there's always somebody who's laughing to make it seem funnier. That type of thing.
Well, there's a game show that you could win like $50,000. So you'd go out there and you would have to do something. And so you would do it and they'd be like $5,000 and then $10,000. And then to get up that there would be like, you have to go make out with her. And they'd be like, no, I'll take the $10,000. And I mean, that wasn't one of them, but I like that one as well.
Do you like the improv stuff? Like, did you like Whose Line Is It Anyway?
I did like Whose Line It Is It Anyway.
I did too, because I like sometimes just zany, like off the cuff, like what it would actually get pretty raunchy sometimes. But I appreciate, and I do think they probably pre-thought of it more than we think. But I still thought, obviously, those guys were brilliant.
Yep.
So I actually like that show a lot.
I did too. And then, so James Corden, which I don't watch talk shows. I'm not a talk show person.
Any of the evening shows.
Yeah, I don't watch any of that stuff. But James Corden is so creative when it comes with his. Now he's got the crosswalk show where he performs out in the crosswalk with people. And so when Tom was over here doing the bathroom, I was showing him a couple, like I showed him the one I showed you with Harry Styles, and then the other day I was watching them. So they had the cast from Frozen.
So he's done more than one.
Oh
of
my
these
God!
crosswalks.
Like he's done Frozen. He's done it in different countries.
Explain the
concept. That's what I was going to do. So they do with Frozen. They have the cast of Frozen. So they've got the horse, they've got the
But what is crosswalk concerts?
I'm going to tell you. They got all the stuff, and so he's setting it all up, and he's like, okay, guys, they've got Dina, whatever, she plays the head of Frozen. They're sitting there, it's like, okay, this is what we have to do. You're going to go, and when the crosswalk turns on, we have 30 seconds. We're going to set it up, and we're going to perform for the people in the crosswalk. And they were like...
In the street.
In the street. Yeah, in the street. And then she was like that. And he goes, so I want you to be that's character, which was the smaller of the sisters. I'm not good at it's like Elsa and whatever. And then the big sister, he goes, and of course I'm going to play that character. And they were like, but I think she should play it. And he's like, no, I mean, like, I'm going to play it. And so she's like, no, it's fine. I'll play the, I think she had to play the, another character. So anyway, finally she gets to play the main character or whatever, and he gets to play a snowflake. And then he's got all this stuff. So anyway, they'll go out to the crosswalk and they perform for a little bit and they sing their songs. And during Harry Styles, he was selling T-shirts in the street, and it's the people are just like, oh my gosh.
Well, and you just got the idea that time to rush off. It's
right.
over.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that I put that squarely in the just silly and zany humor category. Because of the situation.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, like, he'll wear silly costumes and have a little bit of... And again, if you're doing it yourself, it's like, who was funnier than Chris Farley? If you're doing a little bit of fat humor, because you would look funny and you're going to crack people up. If you're all about it, then I'm all about enjoying it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He wore some tight yellow thing during the Harry Styles thing, and he's dancing around.
Oh my gosh, and a watermelon for the song. So, but yeah, those are like, that's kind of what my addiction is right now. Is during this time, I just totally believe that we need to laugh more, and so every day,
I want to punch people in the face. I think that would make me feel...
Maybe you need to laugh more, and then you won't want to punch people.
But what if I punch people, and then it would make me laugh?
That would not... I'm looking at my notes right here. I believe you said that you don't like people getting hurt.
Well, most people.
You can punch them in the throat with your words.
Punch it. Yeah, sometimes I say... Boy, I'm just waiting for somebody to say something so I can go into Tyson. Let me explain to you mode, and then the deal will be like, "Oh my God, that was the worst thing ever!"
Run!
It's like he hasn't taken a breath in 3 minutes. I think this has all been one sentence. And also, blah, 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 blah.
49.75, 32.75%, 42.75%, 9,427. Take the 1 over the 47. 938, 927, 245. Do you see what I'm talking about?
I wouldn't have said, do you see what I'm talking about?
Does that make sense? Oh my
Does it make sense, Hal?
Does it make sense?
How you were wrong and I was right the whole time.
Yeah, you're right. Just
be
not.
Like, please leave me alone.
Just not.
Please, I've heard enough.
Sir, I'm just the valet.
I promise to never think for myself again. Good, because you weren't the whole time.
Yeah, I don't think you were thinking before. Oh my goodness. So hopefully people go out and laugh a little bit more, because that's what I love to do. So I had to add that. I added that to my day. Is I go in and watch just 5 or 6 minutes so that when I get to start my day, it starts with
What
a
do you
laugh.
do to crack yourself up to finish up? Like dancing silly. My cat, who's only been around for 2 months, has been like, so that's what humans do, huh? Just start singing a song silly. Or singing some song with a weird voice.
I perform, so I don't know what you're talking about. I have to perform.
So no, I'll take a song and just totally mangle it on purpose, or do it with a different accent or a different voice entirely. Usually incorporating my cat's name. Mm-hmm. So he's like, oh, I've got all kinds of songs in my name. Interesting. So did you see the thing the humans do? And so if another cat came over, say he had a buddy cat, and then I did the same thing, he'd be like, he'd see this other cat go, what the hell is he doing? He'd be like, oh, you mean your human doesn't do that?
Yeah, exactly.
So that, that type of thing. I like just kind of being silly with my voice. And
well, you're being silly with a cat. I'm here by myself, and when I'm watching something that is funny, I will belly laugh, and I will laugh like, I will hyperventilate, I will start coughing, and I don't, because like you're by yourself and you're like, oh, that was funny. Nope. If I'm laughing, I just laugh. And I get that. I think it's kind of like can't go to a field and scream, because I feel like I need to get something out. So man, I take it out in laughter. I do. And all my memes and stuff, my friends and we share memes nonstop.
So man, I mean, memes are a great source of comedy. That is absolutely true. And it's, as I said, one of the truly good things that's still lasting about the internet is crowdsourced humor.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of opportunity to just make something funny. But seriously, who's the guy from Taken? Or
Taken.
Sean, the actor from Taken. I will find you, and I will. Come on, I can't do the act. I can't.
What was?
Like
what? I don't even know what Taken is.
Scottish actor or English actor, and someone's taken his daughter, and he had like 3 different movies, and I don't know who you are. I don't know your name.
I don't know what you're talking about.
If you return her now, that'll be that. But if you don't, I can't even think the rest of the quote.
Is it a movie?
Now it's just like, yeah, it's absolutely. So you know the actor. I'm just not thinking of it. So just do that voice for just talking to yourself throughout the day. Just practice doing like Sean Connery voice. Any distinctive voice. Just practice, or just do some silly Australian. I don't find the Australian accent
Liam
silly.
Neeson?
Yeah, Liam Neeson. I don't find the Australian accent silly. I don't find any accent silly.
Oh my gosh, no.
But what I find is that it's fun to do it. That's all I mean by that.
I love
so you
Australian
just try to do different accents just for fun throughout the day.
So
as long as you're not doing that Southern Mama one.
Let's see. I gotta look up what his first name is.
Oh, you're thinking of somebody else whose accent you like, or someone who's funny?
No. Well, actually, someone that was funny, but he plays Loki.
Oh yeah.
And
Tom
Hiddleston. Yeah, Tom. I was thinking Tom. Okay.
So he does really good impressions.
Yes. So he was doing like
I love
all these different stars. There's a video of him the other day that I was watching, and he was sitting there with De Niro.
Yeah.
And he was doing all the stuff
in front of De Niro.
He was like with De Niro, but he was on this one guy's talk show. So there's like 3 or 4 of them. I don't know if they were on a movie or whatever. And so he does. He goes, "You have any more?" And he goes, "Well, I could do you," to the British talk show host. He goes, "Oh, you do me?" And he goes, "No, I can't until I actually meet people in person. I had to watch you, and then he did it, and I was like, oh my gosh." And then he looked over at De Niro, and he goes, "I can do you too." And De Niro's like, giving the De Niro look, and
right,
he was spot on.
He did, and I've never seen this movie, Heat. It's an Al Pacino and De Niro movie, so it's supposed to be excellent. And so he was going. He said, "I have like pages of this dialogue memorized. I like the movie so much." And he did both parts.
Yeah,
Pacino
he did that
and
too.
De Niro. Mm-hmm. So I like impressions because I appreciate.
I do too. Like I think Robin Williams, didn't he die like 6 years ago?
Something like that.
He was one of my favorite. And I even knew that he suffered because a friend of mine that when I worked at Minniger's,
such a force of nature.
Knew him.
Really?
Yeah. So like a guy, because I worked at Minniger's, not when he was there, but
give the context again. What's Minniger's?
Minniger's is basically a huge hospital. And we dealt with mentally ill, anorexia, all different kinds of things that were going on there.
This is in Topeka, and it was world-class situation where stars would come in for like psychiatric and or just mental health type treatment situation, right?
And he was here often. And actually walked around Topeka. And that's how they love Topeka, because and they'd be like, "Man, that dude looks like such and such." And we'd just walk on by, and it would be them because they'd be at the mall. But anyway, my friend had, knew him and would always talk about, he struggles with this and that. And like, it was from his mouth, not from his medical records. It's just him saying, "This is what's wrong with me." And so I always knew when I watched his comedy, I could always actually see the hurt in his eyes. If you watch some of his movies, him being funny, it's in his eyes. And you're just like, I loved him. And I was very sad that
he was
he's
just
gone.
a force. He was just a force of nature.
Amazing. He was very talented.
Well, the other thing too is that when you're that talented and you're that quick, he was so quick, but he wanted to be so. He'd come in and blow a room away, and he basically always could. But then you always kind of wonder. Is there a need there? Is there a shortage that he's sensing for some reason? Like he's not enough. Not to get too much into the mental aspect, but just because you mentioned it,
right? Well, I feel the same way when I have to go be me. When I am expected to be a certain person, it's like 2 hours of nonstop talking and making people laugh, and not doing a comedy bit, just being me. Because trust me, if you're around me, you're gonna laugh because I'm gonna say some funny stuff. I will, because it's not even meant to be. I'm just kind of like my honesty. I laugh and I do it a little bit too much. But by the time I'm done and I get in the car, I just want to go home and sit in a dark room. I'm done. And I think if you suffer you don't know how to handle that, then I think that could be a problem. And you go out and you give it your all, and then you go back to the room and you're just like. I have no energy. Mork
and Mindy, the guy who was the heavy guy who was on it with him, he played like his dad. Oh my gosh, he's really funny. And Red Skelton? Red Skelton, he's hilarious from back in the day.
Yeah.
And who's on TV, but he's also very, very crude when he's not on TV. And I'm trying to think, he's kind of a middle-aged. Anyway, I love my stand-up comedians.
I do too. I love comedy, and that's why we started a comedy show at one of our restaurants. I started it with our mutual friend, and she's in comedy. And I don't do comedy, but I was like, we need a comedy place in here. And we've actually sent people for the first time got to stand on our stage and start comedy. And some of them have actually been to Chicago and other places and have performed in bigger places because you just need a place to get up. I am not a stand-up comedian. I'm not going to get up on stage and be hilarious. That's not how I work. I just work with the crowd and I feed off of what's going on. I'm not gonna. I would never be able to do that. It's too much. It's too structured. I couldn't do it.
To me, it's the opposite. It's intimidating. I should say the improvisational comedy. Maybe and some people who are those stand-up comedians, I know we're kind of getting far afield from the original, have a hard time with improvisation because, as I said, they really have fought through their comedy basically word for word to see what they could tweak. And it's not necessarily the same thing as improvisational comedy. Miller, what's his name? Dennis Miller had the hardest time doing Monday Night Football because he said that he tried to write bits. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
As gifted as he was and as obviously smart as he was, I never really got his humor great, but but it was weird because he didn't have a good. And he said later, "I wish I wouldn't have tried to write the bit." It's like, dude, you can't just talk to football and let it come out of your head. Because if you're smart, it's gonna come to you. Just something off the cuff.
Yeah, we had Gallagher in town and did a workshop with a few comedians. Mind you, I'm not a comedian. And he said a couple times to them, because I would answer the questions because I was sitting and we did it at our restaurant. And he's like, I watched all of you guys on stage. Who's your writers? And all of them were like, me. And he goes, okay, that's your problem. If you want to take it a step up other than just your local place, you have to have a crew. You have to have people helping you write this stuff. I didn't go out and do everything on my own. You've got someone that's helping you write stuff. And so he would be saying something, and then I would he would go, we're going to do blah, 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 blah. And I'd go, what about this and this and this? And he's like, that right there, she's a writer. She doesn't want to be on stage. She doesn't want the glory, but she's got the ideas. You need to find people like her. And I could do that all day long. I can totally. That's why with our friend, we're getting ready to do some speaking engagement prep for next year. And it'll be a very serious subject, but the two of us, you will laugh because it's not a laughing situation, but laughter can help fix it. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, regarding that, then I I didn't really think that. I think that kind of depends on. See, I've always thought, because remember, Gallagher was very much prop based.
Yeah.
And so it makes me think, and I could be totally wrong, that a lot of these people actually do.
No.
Most of their writing.
SNL.
And I would totally do comedy writing. I could comedy write all day,
right.
because I could come up with
you would not believe how many of them have more writers than you believe. Now, they might come up with some of their stuff, and some people might have it all, but when you're starting out, you've got to have someone, you got to have a character. So
let me just to draw this to a close. I
Okay.
pulled up my Pandora comedy and give you just a few of the people that I appreciate as far as you doing Pandora comedy or something like that. And, of course, the first very few, because I've got a pattern going because I've listened so much. Brian Regan, I love. He's silly. He's actually more observational and verbally intelligent than you think. Jim Gaffigan, I love. Tommy Johnigan, I love. He's very underrated. Kyle Kinane is surprisingly intellectual. Kyle Kinane. And then Chad Daniels is really good. Nate Bargatze, Bargatze, is very good. He plays like he's not very smart. He comes across as truly not very smart, but he's at least smart enough to be very, very funny. And Tom Segura, that's a good start right there. Regan, Gaffigan, Johnigan, Kinane, Daniel, Bargatze, Segura. You start going down that path, and Bill Burr. I do like Bill Burr. So you start going down that path, you're basically going to be on what my playlist would be.
your playlist.
Yeah.
Well, I already gave you my playlist for right now. I do have some skit ideas that at some point within the next year or so, when I get my people that want to do those with me, we will put those on video, because I think they're flippin' funny. I've got 2 of them. I'm not going to tell you what they are on the podcast, because then you'll run out and do them. But I've been trying to get other people to do them, and
Don't be a thief.
they won't. They haven't done them yet, and I know that one of them could be like a TV show. It could be and not like a Netflix kind of a one episode. I mean, like a 5-episode little mini series and be done. Not like 20 episodes, because you can't do it. But anyway, all right, guys. Well, we are finished with our comedy and laughing. Hopefully, you laughed a little bit. Was that sarcastic? I saw sarcasm.
I know.
in that laughter.
I thought you liked sarcastic humor.
A little bit
Now
of
you're like
sarcasm.
a baby. What is it with these voices? You're just,
Oh, I've got voices.
you've got in your head.
See, that's what you do. You set yourself up and go ... Come on, give me the softball.
Fireworks.
Give me the softball. Sometimes you set yourself up just to see if other people. That's another way I entertain myself. I'm going to say this. I can think of something to say, and I want to see if they're going to knock it out of the park or not. It's a good job on that. I said I've got voices.
You're welcome.
I mean, granted, it was a big, soft pitch, but at least you nailed it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much for giving us your time, and we appreciate our listeners. And we're excited to keep getting to do the show. Make sure to go to our Facebook group, Kimology411. Leave any comments. And when you are doing the comments, we remind you, put what episode you're talking about so we know where to go back to and or share the episode and then comment on it.
You're always free to share the episode on your social media.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be mad.
No,
I'm not going to be mad if you link it or anything.
We got goals. We have goals, and we need your guys' help to make sure that every time you listen to this, share it on all your social media: Twitter, Facebook, MySpace.
MySpace.
Hey, maybe it'll come back. We should go check it out.
I don't have a band though. Isn't that the thing with that?
We have a song.
Like you'd put some, you'd start the page, and like one of your songs would play in the background. I feel like that's probably just the comedy joke of it, and I hear more some cultural phenomenons I know more about just by people talking about the easily, poke fun at aspects than I do the actual social phenomena. They do stand-up comedy.
All right, guys. Thanks, Tyson, for helping make Chemology 411 so awesome.
You are welcome, ma'am.
All right, we'll talk to everyone soon, and please make sure you keep taking all of your adventures. Bye-bye.